If you're like us, the most precious gift you can give your grandchildren aren't things, but timeless moments together.
You know, our world is crazy sometimes. Everything's changing so fast. But these moments that we can use with our grandkids to make an unbreakable bond is going to last for generations.
You know, if we miss out on these opportunities, we lose more than just time. We lose part of our legacy. So choose an activity to share with your grandkids this week. It's more fun and it's a step towards a lasting legacy.
And this really matters because every single moment spent with our grandkids is a step towards a richer, more connected family heritage for them and for you and for their kids.
And you know, you may be thinking, yeah, but kids today don't want to spend time with their elders. But that really depends on what type of elder you are.
Well, everyone wants to spend time with Mimi. We figured that out, Mimi-licious, because...
Yeah. That's what Luca says. Mimi-licious is so delicious.
Well, if you're new here, I'm Mark, and this is my wife, Jody.
And we don't focus on the financial aspects of retirement, but rather lifestyle, health, relationships, and more.
And how to deal with grandkids and how to have fun with them. If you like this, hit the subscribe button so you get notified. But more importantly for us, if you could, share this video and other videos with people that you really care about who are on the same journey that you are. I have the greatest memories ever spending time with my grandparents. One set, not the other. I don't know if you had that.
Yeah, I definitely had the same.
So
my mom's parents were great. My dad's parents, not so much.
Same thing. My dad's parents, and they lived close by. They lived 20 minutes away, my dad's parents. We didn't like to go there. He didn't like to go there. And that's another whole story. But the good memories were from my mom's parents who were in Binghamton, New York, and I lived down in Mamaroneck, New York. Well, when I was a young kid, they used to send me up there on the bus once in a while.
Oh, yeah. How long was that? Like 7 hours?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Probably 5 or 6 hours. But we went up there every Thanksgiving. We went to see him during the summer. We rented a house on a lake up there. But I had the most wonderful time with my grandparents, sitting with my grandfather while I was having coffee and reading the newspaper. He was still working. He had a china glassware and china store in downtown Binghamton, New York. And I used to go in there with him once in a while and walk around and look at his inventory and play around with the elevator. And he would tell me stories. I mean, I treasure that time and those memories.
Now,
what were yours like?
If you bring it forward to today, we have 2 grandsons, and we just spent a week in California with both of them. One of them's 5.5, and the other is 1.5. So, as you can imagine, the 5.5-year-old is very curious, very active, very energized, very vocal, very funny. And I happened to have a great time getting down on the floor, making up games, doing puzzles, reading books, doing bath time. I'm like the hands-on, on the ground, knees dirty, outside playing football, whatever they want to do.
Mimi-licious.
Type of Mimi-licious. And I remember that with my grandmother. That was something I saw her do with my brother and I. And then I watched my mom with my children, with my girls. And she was just incredible. And that's the story I want our Luca to tell.
Yeah, and my mom was the same way with my kids. And they remember that. And they're, 40 years old, 38, 36. They remember my mom and the times they went there for the weekend and went to the beach and all of that. And we're trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, so this video is really about what are you creating and what are the moments you're creating, and to give you some ideas for activities that you can do potentially with your grandkids or grandnieces and grandnephews, whatever you want.
And I don't know about you, but we don't want to be the set of grandparents that are the ones that they remember it wasn't fun. I mean, that's just not the legacy that I want to... Well, excuse me?
Well, I have to tell a funny story.
I don't think it's funny at all.
Okay.
I think that we want to be the grandparents that are remembered like my mom's parents and like your mom's parents that really had fun.
Okay.
So before we jump in today...
So no funny story?
You could tell a funny story.
Okay.
How about if I tell it? Because it's my story.
Okay. You tell it.
So I get up early every day, 4 o'clock in the morning. And I do my reading, I do my journaling, I work out and exercise. So I'm out there for a week. And it's friggin' freezing cold in their house, by the way, in California. So I have a blanket on, and Luca comes out of his room every morning around 5:45 or 6 o'clock. And the first thing he says to me is, "Why isn't Mimi up yet?" And I said, "Well, Luca, she's still sleeping, but can I go wake her?" "No, you're going to hang out with me." So he doesn't like that much. I mean, we play and stuff, but he wants Mimi because she gets down on the floor and plays with him. So we go into the den. He wants to chat a little bit. We're chatting, and this goes on for a couple days. And then I was really sick.
You were. Yeah.
So one morning I get up, and I'm sick as a dog. And I have the blanket on, and I'm trying to keep him away. And I want to check my phone. I want to see how YouTube did overnight. So I look at my phone, and I'm staring at it. Luca says to me, "Hey, Pop." I go, "Hey, Luca, what's up?" And he looks at me, and he says, "You know, I'm sitting here, right?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I see you." He says, "Why are you in your phone?"
Isn't he smart?
Yeah, that was a good life lesson for me to learn from one of my grandkids. You know, what can you learn from your grandkids?
Yeah,
there was that.
Yep.
But anyway, click the journaling guide down below. It really is a good free PDF to kind of teach you how to start journaling. But let's get into these 10 things.
Okay.
What's the first fun activity to do with grandkids?
Well, I would say the first general category would be creating lifelong memories, strengthening your emotional bonds by really creating memories. So what activities work like that? The first one could be storytelling. The second one could be like a family tree project, kind of showing not only who everybody is, but maybe even where they live, because families are kind of spread out.
I'd be good at that.
You would be good at that.
I'm going to do that with Luca next time I see him.
Sharing photo albums. I know my mom used to create photo albums for the girls. So the whole time they were together, she would take pictures, and they would each have their album that she built year over year over year for them, which is really, really special. Cooking, traditional recipes, maybe cultural recipes or something that you had from your past, bringing it forward. And I think the last one's kind of cool is maybe, making a time capsule of sorts, really going year over year as to what was important to that grandchild. So at 21 years old, they can go back and kind of look at their time capsule. So those are ways that you can create lifelong memories.
So 2 opportunities I missed when I was in California. One, the family tree project. Mm-hmm. That would be so cool. Mm-hmm. And cooking.
Yeah,
I love to cook.
Good.
I'd be good cooking with Luca. But I have a big surprise for him when he comes in April.
Right.
I know one of the head firemen down at the firehouse on Marco, and I'm talking about brand new firehouse. I think they got the pole, they got rooms upstairs, they got trucks.
Do they have the Dalmatian?
They got everything. So I'm going to take him there for a morning tour, which would be great. But the second activity is really getting involved with physical activities together.
Right.
Going for a hike, playing soccer together in a sports match, taking them to an exercise class, maybe doing some gardening, really just getting outside, getting side by side, doing something fun and getting your hands dirty.
And that's what Luca and I do. And the one that you missed was the dance-off.
Yeah, I don't do that.
I do that. I do a dance-off with him with his favorite songs, which are typically from the movie Sing,
right,
which is really fun.
Okay.
The third activity would be to foster creativity and learning, right? Find a way to stimulate the mind with creative and educational activities like science experiments, building projects, museum visits, maybe even, books that you can send and read together, or arts and crafts, which is always fun for kids.
Well, his parents are, I'm not saying they're protective, but everyone's protective of their child. But now the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get one of those little...
science labs?
Yeah, chemistry sets. So when he comes to visit in April, we're going to do the thing with the volcano mountain overflows.
He would love that.
Yeah, we're going to do... That's
He's
what we're going to do.
He's a smart little bugger.
All right. The other thing, and I think I'm good at this, teaching valuable life skills. So passing on skills and wisdom that we have. It could be cooking, it could be fishing, how to drive the boat. I really want him to learn how to do that. How maybe talk about an allowance if his parents are giving him allowance. Think a little bit about that, and maybe just kind of thinking about some personal challenges
that you can share with him.
That we could do together. Yeah, hold each other accountable a little bit. I mean, he's young, but still, I think having that type of relationship. Why are you laughing?
Hold each other accountable. He's 5.5.
Yeah, he's hard to hold accountable, but I could teach him.
The fifth activity would be, embrace technology together. Really learn and explore technology together. Now, Luca's not ready for that yet because his parents haven't really released technology into his hands.
He does take the phone and take pictures.
He does. He can do that. But learning new tech skills or apps or even some educational video games or starting a family blog or even blog, which we kind of do because we have Selfie Saturday where everybody kind of takes a selfie and lets us know what they're doing every Saturday.
Well, you know what? We should include him in that.
We should.
We should tell him.
He can take a picture of himself.
And he can see the thread.
Yeah, absolutely. Or even a photo scavenger hunt, different things that you can do using technology, which would be kind of cool.
So Selfie Saturday, by the way, Jody and I and the 6 kids all have to take a picture of ourselves doing whatever we're doing on Saturday each week to kind of just stay connected. So we definitely want to bring Luca into that.
Absolutely.
The other thing is really get outside and explore nature and the outdoors.
Yeah, I think you'd be good at this too.
Well, we do that with him. We take him to the park. We went on that long bike ride. Things like bird watching. Where he lives in California, there's seals everywhere, and what else?
Sea lions.
Sea lions. Yep. Yeah, go to the beach. Camping, his family does do camping.
They do.
I'm kind of done with camping.
Yeah.
But looking at stars, he did get a telescope for Christmas, which is kind of cool.
That is cool.
So I think that's a fun thing to do with him, too.
All right, the 7th activity that we were thinking would be really fun is cultural and historical exploration, right? So maybe explore some cultural heritage and some history by visiting cultural festivals or exploring your family ancestry. Maybe some historical sites and tours, like we live in Essex, which is very close to Mystic, and there's a whole Mystic historical maritime museum, which would be fun to take
It would be
into.
fun.
Maybe attend some classical music concert for a 5.5-year-old. I would say that would probably have to be outside, so they could run around while they're listening. And then there's always cooking meals from different cultures and learning about different cultures as you're eating.
Right. All right. The 8th thing that you can do with your grandkids is some form of volunteering or community service. It's going to teach them the value of giving back to the community. And it might be fun, participating in a charity event, maybe visiting a nursing home. A community cleanup's always a good thing to do. I think that's a good idea. Or take them to an animal shelter and see if there's any opportunities for the kids to clean the cage or something like that.
Absolutely.
So I think that's kind of fun to do.
That would be good. The 9th activity that we have is playful learning and games, right? Engage in fun and educational games like board games, which I do with Luca all the time, puzzle solving, which I do, trivia contests we haven't really done with him yet, educational apps, and maybe some, like we talked about earlier, DIY science kits.
I'm going to go buy that today.
Good.
So when he's here, we can do it. I think the other thing, the last thing we want to talk about is really creative storytelling and or writing. So you want to encourage him to use or her to use their imagination with storytelling. So sometimes, we'll read a book. And other times I'll sit in bed with him at night and I'll just tell a story. Right. I'll just make it up as I go along. And you can kind of be funny and silly. We could maybe do something like that together. How about this? Writing letters to his grandparents in Puerto Rico.
Oh, that would
something
be fun.
Like that. Sitting down, let's write a letter to your grandparents. Or so I think stuff
I think
like
the
that.
one in that category that I really liked was creating a family comic book. Because Luca loves to draw and he loves to make things bigger than they are. I'm just wondering how he'd draw Mimi-licious, but I'm hoping she'd be fun and happy. Grandchildren are like stars. Each one is unique and lights up our world in their own way. As we navigate our twilight years, these young stars guide us back to the joys and wonders of life that we may often overlook.
And we really need to seize these moments together now. You should not be on your phone when your grandson is sitting next to you.
Good lesson.
Good lesson. But if we don't seize these now, we're going to really lose the opportunity to have an influence on them and them an influence on you. I think that's really important. Now, if you like this video, this next one, having fun, cooking in retirement. Watch this because it might inspire you to find some recipes to do with your grandkids the next time you're with them. Watch this next.